Hey guys, it's Lainey, and today I'm doing a non-spoiler series review. I'm going to be reviewing the Nightshade duology, which includes Nightshade and Bloodlust. Probably wondering who wrote this duology, and that is Michelle Rowen, but Michelle Rowen is actually Morgan Rhodes, the author of the Fallen Kingdom series, my favorite author. I have been slowly collecting all of her other books that she wrote under a different name. Michelle Rowen is known for her paranormal romance books. I have this duology, I have her Night Watchers duology, and I have her Immortality Bites trilogy. Today I'm going to be talking about both Nightshade and Bloodlust. Since it is a duology, I'm only going to say the synopsis of Nightshade, which we follow a girl named Jillian Conrad. She does a lot of temp work, and she's working at this big building where there's a bunch of other, companies going on there. One day when she's going to get coffee for the rest of her co-workers, she is grabbed by a scientist and she's held hostage in the middle of the lobby. The scientist is basically using her as a human shield against this huge, crazy looking, scarred up, but insanely hot guy who wants the scientist to give him this serum that he's holding to Jillian's throat. Well, the scientist ends up injecting her with the serum, and the serum she is injected with is supposed to be a weapon against vampires. Did I mention this book has vampires? Because it does. Knowing that this serum is supposed to be used against vampires, Declan, who is this vampire hunter that was chasing the scientist, ends up having to take her to a facility so they can figure out how to figure out what's going on with her blood. That is the synopsis, and it immediately pulled me in. What's great about how this pulled me in was that I just read you the first couple pages. It literally happens like that, and the action, you're thrown into the action immediately. Sometimes this can not work well, but sometimes it can, and I was a little nervous that it did start out with amazing action and you get into this crazy whirlwind chase sequence, and I was kind of scared that I'd be caught up in the action and not knowing what was going on with the characters, and I wouldn't be able to feel for the characters. But, of course, Michelle Rowen, I feel weird. I want to call her Morgan. Should I just call her Morgan, even though I know that's her pseudonym? Anyway, I'm just gonna call her Morgan. Morgan has this great way of writing characters, obviously, because I love all her characters that she creates, and Declan and Jillian were no exception to that fact. I fell in love with them very quickly, and then I didn't want the story to end because I wanted to know more about them. This is a paranormal romance, but the central plot of the story, I feel like, is the foreground, and then the romance is actually the background. And while I really loved all of Jillian and Declan's interactions, and I wanted them to have all their little moments, and I want them to, fall in love, I still appreciated the fact that there was bigger things going on than their relationship, and that wasn't skimmed over, because sometimes in romance novels the romance is the everything, and then what should be the big thing is actually the subplot. And I felt that was the complete opposite for this book, and that's what made me really fall in love with it. Keeping on with the characters only grew stronger in Bloodlust. Declan and Jillian are going through a lot of different things. Like, they have been through the ringer, and I still loved everything about them up until the very last page. You fall in love with these characters and you don't want to let them go. At the last page, I was like clinging to the book because I didn't want it to end. Next up is the writing. The writing is spectacular, of course. Every Morgan Rhodes books I've ever read, I've absolutely loved the writing. Both these books are very fast-paced. Between both the books, they take place within just a few weeks. It just shows like this plot that is like super intricate, and that the plot itself is very fast-paced, and the writing is fast-paced, and you read and read and read, and then before you know it, you're almost done with the book, and you're just like, what do I do next? I did mention that there are vampires in this book, and Declan is a half vampire, so he is a Dampier? I really liked the lore of these books because it is adult. The lore behind the vampires is more, pain and pleasure, and they both go hand in hand, and the vampires are scary, but they're also, sexy. You feel the lust behind the entire vampire history, and I liked that. I really liked the rules of the vampires in this story. Kind of, they're controlled by one central vampire king, and they all have to kind of fall in line. I am really critical on how vampires are written from book to book, because I'm a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, and to me, those vampires will always be my favorite vampires, but this did vampires justice to me. I really liked the lore behind the vampires, and I think a lot of other people will too. While this is a duology, Morgan Rhodes did plan out a third book, but it never, happened. She told me it didn't end on a cliffhanger. I'm very, very happy about. What's great about the ending, it's probably one of my favorite endings ever, because while it was satisfying for me, it just showed how much more potential the book and the series had. It could have gone further, and I really loved that about this ending, was because it was satisfying for a reader. I really, really recommend these books if you like paranormal romance, if you like Morgan Rhodes. I think this is a great duology to start out with if you wanted to read some of her other works, but you didn't know where to start, because she has a ton of other books under her Michelle Rowen name. I would start out with this, because I started out with these books and I absolutely loved them, and I can't wait to read more of her other books. I'm really excited to read Immortality Bites. I'm excited to buy all the Living in Eden novels. I can't wait. I'm not a big adult paranormal romance reader, and I haven't read a lot of those kind of books, but I really loved this book because, like I said, the romance wasn't the central point of the story, and I think that is what made these two books better, is that you totally get into this whole vampire lore and everything. That is it for my review on the Nightshade duology. Let me know below if you are thinking about reading it, because I will convince you more in the comments. So I hope you guys all have a really great day, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!